That's right. All right, let's move on to the Western Conference, where the Clippers land Rajon Rondo from the Hawks, Norman Powell, he joins the Blazers from the Raptors, Aaron Gordon, he's going to leave the Magic, he goes to the Denver Nuggets, and J.J. Redick goes to the Mavericks from the Pelicans. Mike, how do these deals change the balance of power in the Western Conference?
Well, Denver had been, for a team in the thick of it with an MVP candidate, Denver had been a little on the disappointing side. I don't know if they just miscalculated on losing Jeremy Grant, but that's a killer. Yep. That had hurt that team. They lost 6 people from last season's team in the bubble, but they, with Aaron Gordon, they sort of replaced Jeremy Grant. Very different players. Gordon has some ability to facilitate. You would think they would have a great sigh of relief now, right? The Denver Nuggets. And by the way, JaVale McGee gives them a little bit of rim protection and depth they didn't have before. The Clippers with Rondo. People can say, well, Rondo's old. He's not just playoff Rondo, he's old. Rondo still is playoff Rondo, right? And more importantly, he can organize and run that team and hold guys accountable and get in guys' faces, and they have to respect it because it's Rondo. Pat Bev is not that guy. He's a guy who needs to be coming off the bench. So they give up a lot in like the 85 times 6 man of the year in Lou. But I think you have to have Rondo. You have to have a point guard there. And they weren't going to be able to apparently get Lowry either. Dallas with J.J. Redick. Frank, this is huge. They needed a shooter coming into the season, and they didn't really add another one, right? So, all the pressure was on Hardaway. To put J.J. Redick in that lineup with Luka Doncic and Porzingis and Hardaway, I think Dallas takes a bounce up. Not a rocket ship ride, but a bounce up. And in Portland, Gary Trent Jr. and Norman Powell seem to be the same guy. But Norman Powell is 3rd in the league in three-point shooting.
Been great this year.
I don't really understand what on-court bump Portland expects to get. I thought Gary Trent fit really well with that group. But again, that may speak to Toronto again and Masai Ujiri understanding what he's doing and not wanting a rebuild to last forever and ever and ever and ever.
Yeah, I thought Denver really had a good day. You mentioned JaVale McGee. That's a good move backing up Jokic. You mentioned a player, Jeremy Grant. And they wanted to give Jeremy Grant exactly what he got from Detroit, but he wanted to go to Detroit and be the guy. Jeremy Grant was an important player, and Aaron Gordon is now, in theory, replacing him. Aaron Gordon, he's a terrific defender. So you have him now, and he'll do a really good job, whether it's Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James. He can defend these players. My thing will be, do you want to fit in and be a role player? Because you're going to be behind Jokic and Jamal Murray. Know the role that you have. If he's willing to do that, that could be a good addition. He's played very well, offensively. But here's a guy who about a week ago, Mike, went to management and said, I'm really frustrated with the losing and the way that we're playing. Well, yeah, you're the one. They're frustrated with you. They gave you a ton of money.
You were supposed to be the star.
You're the guy that has to perform. So that's a big one. And as for Rondo, go ask LeBron James how much Dwight Howard and Rajon Rondo meant to the Lakers last year in the bubble. Dwight Howard was excellent. First of all, he had that huge foul on Bam Adebayo, which basically knocked him out of the series. And Rondo, to your point, comes in there, and he's just so smart. His basketball IQ was off the charts, and he's going to demand out of Paul George and Kawhi that they perform when it matters.
Yes, and they have a leader, as proven a leader as there is.
Winner.
They did not have that last year. And that's what, as we looked back on it, personality on that team, lack of a leader, and also lack of a real, true playmaking talent who's done this at the highest level. And we're not looking for Rondo to now go back and, he's got to play this way for 70 games. No, he doesn't. He's got to play this way for the last 15 or 20 games going into the playoffs. But when it comes to organizing a team, which the Clippers still needed this season, if you're not going to get Lowry out of Toronto, Rondo's to me it's almost a steal in that position for the Clippers today. At least it's probably how they feel about it.
Yeah, the Sixers and the Clippers got their point guard. One last thing, Mike. If you're the Houston Rockets, wouldn't you rather have Karis LeVert than Victor Oladipo and then what you got in return for Victor Oladipo? When they made the trade with Brooklyn, they just should have taken Karis LeVert. He's better than what they got.
That's right. Yeah, it is. I didn't understand some of their reasoning as well.
No.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.